But
why don't you tell the listeners, Nate, what you used to aspire to be for a career?
I used to watch Border Security, Canada's Front Lines. I think it is such a
Nat move.
I think it's such a cool job. I like watching
you just have so many different stories from every single day.
Well, that exactly. Like you could.
Do they also get
when you
dibs on the
open those when you open those bags? You just never know what they're gonna come across.
Coming at you, from coast to coast. The host with the most. Step inside, come on by. With the
Welcome to Real Hours with PJ and Nate, Peter and Nate. We're just gonna slow it. We're gonna call it Real Hours because we got producer Greg here with us. Peter keeps telling me to call it Real Hours, but I keep calling it Real Hours with PJ and Nate
And
because
I keep
it's
getting
like
offended.
I know.
on the
I'm
cover
sorry,
art,
Greg.
eh?
Well, it's just like ingrained in me to call it that. So I'm sorry, Greg. Producer Greg.
Verbal
I'm sorry
muscle
about
memory. I understand.
Yeah. So
Greg's a
my
very
apologies.
understanding person.
We're calling it Real Hours
Thank
because
you.
we believe that Greg is a valuable member of this team. Peter, start us off. Where can you find us on social media?
What's up? Okay. Number one, just hit us up at Real Hours Pod, please. Please. We just want to talk to people. None of us have any friends.
We just want to be friends.
None of us
We're
have
not.
any, well, I mean, they might, but I don't have any friends. And pretty much just hit us up at Real Hours Pod, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And I'm going to stare right into the camera for this one. Send us your spam emails. If you get spam that you find interesting in your email, forward it to realhourspod@gmail.com. Go check your spams. Maybe you don't check your spams. I go and check my spam like once a week to see if there's anything interesting in there. Anyway,
I always do too, just in
Hit-
case
I was
somebody.
just empty it.
hit us up.
Well,
And
I just want to see if like a Nigerian prince wants me to like give him $1 million because
Yeah, usually it's
no,
like
he wants to give you $1 million, Nate.
right. And what do I
Yes.
have to give him? My social insurance.
Social insurance number, name,
Number,
rank, and
yeah.
serial number, birth date, credit card number, PIN,
Right.
the name of your first dog, your hairdresser, and
your entire identity, really.
yeah.
Sounds good. It's a pretty good trade-off, really. I don't see the issue.
And
Yeah.
I think if you're a Coke or Pepsi person, I think he prefers that. He needs to know that too.
So talking about spam, and I know this is really random, and usually we talk about this at the end of the podcast.
Oh.
I just wanted to give an update on my purchase of MeUndies. We might as well get it out of the
So
way
is this
first.
spam?
No, I don't know why it came to my head that this was
It just
spam.
did.
It's not really.
Okay.
But the only thing I check my emails for is my delivery for MeUndies really right now. So we are Tuesday, February 9th, it says here or February 10th, sorry, Wednesday, February 10th at 10:31. It says arrived at facility. What facility? I don't know. It says arrived at facility, but
That's
it says on Tuesday it said it cleared customs. So
It's probably just some warehouse
it's in Canada.
in probably Mississauga,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it's just waiting for it to be picked up by a courier.
So maybe I should email MeUndies and be like, you guys, you should probably go faster because this is very, very important for the podcast.
How long has it been?
I ordered them on January 18th.
It's been almost a month.
It's been almost a month.
That's yeah. Was it
Come on.
free shipping?
No.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad. That's
Yeah.
really bad.
It was a couple bucks. Yeah.
I had a shipping experience. Do you guys want to hear about it?
Yeah, sure.
So
I'd love to hear about
I
it.
ordered some things on IKEA. If you're the listeners on YouTube, you can see I have a lovely rug behind me. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, that was one of the items that came, and I placed the order, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something. IKEA is like quite backlogged at the moment. But I got a FedEx tracking number yesterday, emailed to me, and it said it's going to deliver today, so Friday. which is when we're recording, Friday the 12th of February. And 2 hours after I got the email, it showed up on my front doorstep. So anyway, that felt good.
How long? Can you say that time again? Say that again?
On Thursday at like
Yeah.
9 a.m., I get an email with the tracking code. I open it up. It says expected delivery Friday
Right.
between 9 a.m. 5 p.m. And then at 11 a.m. Thursday, it shows up on my doorstep.
Nice. That's pretty sick.
That's pretty good.
So not sure how that happened. It did come from IKEA in Halifax, so maybe there was maybe by the time they got updated in FedEx, it was like already on the truck on the way here or whatever, but who knows?
That's pretty sick. That's
Yeah.
pretty sick.
Okay, enough about shipping times. Producer Greg, take us into our first segment of the day, of the night,
Yes.
wherever you're listening to this, whenever you're listening to this.
So as you all know, we started doing our weekly check-ins titled "We're the Boys and We're Talking" because we're the boys and we're talking, and we just want to check in with each other and make sure we're doing okay.
Fair enough.
Doing okay. I want to make sure everyone's doing good, and yeah. So Peter, what's happened to you this week? Anything newsworthy or?
Well, I haven't really been focused on work this week.
Okay. None of that. Get that out of here.
This week I have a lot of things due, and coming up towards the beginning of next week too, I have quite a few things due as well. So
Long weekend though.
That's right, long weekend. I actually had a
Family
paper that was
day.
supposed to be due on Monday, but the prof realized that it was a holiday and bumped it back a day. So bless up.
Nice.
But anyway, it just feels like I'm falling behind, but I don't think I'm falling behind. I think I'm just staying afloat. I'm not getting any more behind, but I'm also not getting ahead. So that's not great. But I was just wondering if listeners have any tips for staying engaged and motivated and zeroed in on your work during online school or online work or work from home, because I'd be interested to hear, because I've tried a multitude of things to just get my focus up and stuff. None of it is really working, so I'm starting to think it's me and it's not the online school. But hit me up if you have any suggestions at Real Hours Pod. And I got a rug, so the rug just is great. I just laid on it the other day because it's really soft
Slate
and
on it.
it's clean at this point. And it's also excellent for acoustics for the podcast. So that's great.
Hey, there
Yeah.
you go. That's the important one right there.
Amen.
That's the important point.
Amen. Greg, weekly check-in.
Oh, that's me. Okay. So yeah, this week was really, really, really slow at work. And I'd much rather just be busy and be doing a bunch of stuff every day than have nothing to do, because then the days go by faster. And the more slow days that I have, the more that I realize that I would rather just be busy and be doing stuff that be being productive and stuff. So yeah, but on the other hand, Michelle made some really tasty muffins. So
What kind of muffins were they?
they were cranberry lemon.
Ooh,
They were
I do
so
like a
good.
good cranberry lemon.
I'm not
Yeah.
a big cranberry guy. I'm a
No?
lemon person.
You're not a human person, you're a lemon person.
I like lemon, but not cranberry.
I understand. All right, Nate.
Okay. Jamal is still living. I'm just gonna keep that
Praise-
theme rolling.
praise
Jamal
the
has
Lord.
lived another week. Still not looking good, but we're trying our best. And the other thing is, now
Take him to the vet?
I'm not gonna take a fish that I bought for $2.
Wait, now
So you
here's
bet.
an idea.
So you don't
So
care
everyone
about
send
Jamal, or-
in everyone send in your get well soon cards
Yes.
to Jamal.
Yeah, make them waterproof so I can just
Yeah.
actually put them in the tank.
I'm not sure if that's good.
Just laminate them.
No, no, I'll just tape them to the tank, and
There
then
you go.
he can read them. Maybe he needs a friend. The problem is that beta fish are aggressive. You're not supposed to put them, but I think you can put them with the opposite sex. I think I don't. Maybe a listener could tell me what it. I
Peter, don't get too excited, please.
listen. Hey, then I could sell little baby beta fish. No, sorry, PG-13. Anyways, okay. Jamal is still living. I'm not gonna use him to, but maybe he does need a friend. I'm not sure.
Fish
Everyone needs a
Keep
friend.
Jamal in your prayers, folks.
Yeah,
Jamal.
send
T's
in
and
your
P's,
get well
T's
soon
and
cards.
P's.
You know what's funny is I was messaging my friends about Jamal, saying that he's in rough shape, and one of them messaged back and was like, "Oh, that reminds me, my plant, it was a succulent or something, or a cactus or something,
Yeah.
died, and I was really sad about it." And then she went on to be like, "Oh, wait, a plant and a fish are kind of on different levels of sadness on dying. I'm really sorry. That was really inconsiderate." And I was like, honestly, I'm going to be really sad when Jamal dies, but I also understand being sad if you kill a plant. So
Yeah.
I was like, you don't really need to, like, I got where you were coming from. You were just telling me a story about some living thing you had that died, but
Plants could be expensive, man. Like there are plant collectors who collect,
exactly.
like super rare plants that like I was reading about one where more collectors have this plant than there are like of this plant in the wild.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty sick. Yeah, it's an industry.
Hey, speaking
Yeah.
of plants, I actually got 2 plants this week in my room.
Nice.
Yeah, first plants I've ever had. I don't even know what they're called, but Brittany got them for me, and they're in pretty cool looking pots. So I put them under my TV, and with my light strip and stuff, I look like I'm friggin' like
So
upscale living.
I've probably bought
Wow.
like 6 plants in total,
Oh yeah.
and I have currently 2 living. Actually, that's not true. Okay, so I probably have all 6 of them living, but when they're dying and they're clearly dying, I give them to Jilly, and she takes care of them because when I'm killing them, she's the only one that can get them to live. So I'm
Yeah.
really bad at keeping plants alive. I always want plants, but it just doesn't work. I think my room is also not really great for sunlight, so a lot of them just don't get enough sunlight.
Yeah.
So, anyways, moving forward, I had a second part to my week. I had previously learned some bits of this song, but I've been learning more of it and enjoying it on the guitar. Is "Sunsets for Somebody Else" by Jack Johnson. Do you guys know that song?
No, I don't.
Peter-
I know Jack Johnson, but I don't know that song.
Anyways, it's a really fun song. I've been learning on the guitar. It's one of those songs that it's really hard to like sing and play at the same time
Yeah.
because there's just so much going on. So, anyways, I've been really getting into Jack Johnson the past.
Why don't you go get your guitar and play us some of it?
We can do that another week.
Okay, when you're better.
Honestly, I we could throw it at the end of the podcast one week when I'm
Okay.
practiced up with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Just
So,
do a little recording.
Our number
Yeah.
1 podcast listener, probably actually the only podcast listener, Dawson Kent. He
Yes.
actually went to go see Jack Johnson, I believe. I don't know. How
Oh,
many years
really?
ago this was in. I want to say in Bangor or
Yeah.
somewhere in Maine. Anyway, apparently Jack was absolutely stoned out of his mind. That's what I remember Dawson telling me about him. So he's
He
just
has-
a Hawaii surfer dude. Like he's just gonna.
he has that vibe.
Oh, yeah.
I could totally see that. So yeah, that was my week. I'm enjoying that. It's a nice stress reliever. It's nice
Weed or
to
the
just,
music.
both. No, playing music. Sitting down with the guitar, especially music like that. That's just very like calm and soothing. It's nice to play. So that was my week. Okay, are we ready for the big WWWS Weird,
Absolutely.
Wild, and Wacky Stories?
Pew, 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 pew.
Whoop.
So this week we've got, who's starting us off here? We'll just get right into it here.
I'm going for it.
All right.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the first story is from cbc.ca, but I'm sure you've seen it in other places. I read this yesterday. I did a double take as soon as I saw it and read it. And you would not be surprised as soon as you find out where this dude is from. Quote, "It's pretty metal," end quote, says man who turned his uncle's skeleton into a guitar. Where do you want to bet this guy's from?
That's got to be a Florida man thing.
Florida musician
Florida,
says this was,
yes.
quote, the best way to honor, end quote, the man who introduced him to heavy metal. So basically, he cut off the neck of a, I don't know, looks like a fake Strat, and soldered on a bunch of guitar components and pickups and all that, and string whatever's to his uncle's rib cage and hip bone and spine. Maybe we'll post a picture because this is honestly hilarious.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I've heard of this story through the week and just assumed that it was like, I don't know, he turned his ashes or something into like the body of a normal looking guitar. I didn't expect to see this. This is the first time I've seen a picture of it.
People do that all the time with ashes. Like, I think that, I don't know, I was reading something recently. I think that there was like a famous person who died and had like a big foundation that they were in, and they were building like a hospital or something. And so they just took their ashes and mixed it in with the concrete for the hospital. That seems like slightly odd, but a lot less odd than this.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
This is horrifying.
Yeah. So my question
Did you
is,
see his name? Can I just?
oh yeah.
Did you see what his name is?
No, what's his name? I didn't even catch that.
Midnight Prince.
Prince Midnight. Yeah, that's
Prince
Prince
Midnight.
Midnight. That's his band. That's his nickname. That's
I think that's hilarious.
Prince Midnight. Hey, maybe he's got
That's-
some music we can put on the podcast. Do you think he would? He'd probably like that publicity, huh? I'm
That's
not a big
really
metal
dis-
guy, so we'll
That's
just make
really
the executive decision.
disturbing to me. Not gonna lie, that freaks me out.
Yeah.
So my
That is-
question,
Okay.
Nate, you got to answer. You got to answer me this first, since you seem the most disturbed of the two of you. It's two parts. What wild way would you commemorate someone who is a big influence in your life? And how would you like to be commemorated when you die to the people who you made a big influence in?
Okay. So, have you ever heard of the song "The Night Pat Murphy Died"?
Oh, the night that Patty Murphy died.
Absolutely.
That song basically tells the tale of commemorating a fallen friend. So
A fallen
That's-
comrade.
the fallen comrade. And
I don't
see,
think it gets any better than that.
so basically what I'm saying is that's how I would want to, the same way, not the song itself, but like the actions within the song. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like the story of how they set the clocks to set them back to 9 when it was actually 2 a.m. and convinced. Just a great song. Everyone, if you haven't listened to this song by Great Big Sea, it's just a absolute, what would you call it, Peter?
Pretty
bop?
much the definition of classic.
Yes.
Pretty
So-
much.
So that was how I would want to commemorate someone, and honestly also be commemorated. I'm struggling with that word, but
Commemoration.
That's fine.
commemoration. I would want it to do it for somebody else and for myself.
Yeah.
That's very
I-
special. Greg?
Just the whole like turning someone's remains into something else.
Mm.
Like especially something that you would like pick up and use.
Mm.
That's just
Oh,
weird
that's-
and creepy. I'm not into that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
not at all.
This is like Greg's baby teeth displayed at the museum times
Oh.
1.78 million.
Yeah. It's terrible.
Turned all the way up. Okay, I think we've talked about human remains enough. I don't think that's going to come up again in the podcast anymore. We'll see if maybe we get beeped for PG-13 content there or whatever. That's pretty dark. Does somebody else have a story they want to share? Who's next?
I've got, it's me. I'm next. Okay, I recently found this one, and I found this one very interesting. So basically the title is New Zealand sentences cactus smuggler caught with 947 plants strapped to her body. And now Huffington Post here, a little misleading. So we'll read that the title's a little misleading in some ways. So Just for a note, the subtitle in it's a prickly situation. It says. I thought that was a very nice added pun. Nice touch. So basically, this lady tried to smuggle in 947 succulents and cacti, valued at over $10,000, into New Zealand when returning home from China. So, or from a city, returning home to the city from China, I guess. So she pleaded guilty. She's 38, and of course, New Zealand has like strict biosafety, like security laws around what you can bring in. I think most people understand that. Like, I don't go to Florida and bring home a bunch of fruit from there. Like, you don't move those things because you never know what's living within those plants or those fruits or those vegetables or meat, for example, too. Anything like that, you don't.
Because plants there might have a tolerance, but plants here may not. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's strictly prohibited, and that was on March 24th, 2019. And so this article is from this year, but I think her sentencing was recently. That was the reason this came up. And what's crazy is that this was not her first attempt at smuggling things like this over into New Zealand.
No.
On July 23rd in 2019, she was found in possession of 142 seeds hidden in packaged in her iPad covers in her luggage.
So she clearly knows what she's doing is wrong.
Can you guys see? Are you guys in the doc?
I can see the picture, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you see the picture of all those plants and stuff?
Yeah. They look like
And
they're wrapped in
supposedly-
pantyhose.
Yeah, and supposedly they were strapped to her body. There isn't a picture of that specific situation, but they keep saying, so I just wonder what, like, would that hurt? Like, if you have cacti, like, strapped to you, like, what's going on there? Anyways, I think, Greg, if we can put that picture in the
She was
in
also
the YouTube video.
carrying plant pots and ornaments, which are found to contain, listen to this, a snail.
Oh, see, that's like a piece of tree fern. See, that's like
The snail
that's a no-no.
could have been an invasive species.
Exactly. So I thought that was
Nasty.
crazy. That's crazy, especially like 947 plants like strapped to your body.
$10,000 worth.
Yeah,
This
$10,000.
kind of
worth.
reminds me of, you remember I talked about Taskmaster, the show that Michelle and I
yeah.
were watching?
Yes.
This reminds me of one of the tasks, which was
Oh, no.
conceal an entire pineapple on your person.
That's funny.
So, yeah.
Did
I don't
most
know,
people
that
go
just-
for the stomach, like to make it look like they're fat?
Well, so they had to conceal it on their person, but
Yep.
also the Taskmaster's assistant like had to try and guess where it was, and
Oh,
like the most amount of incorrect guesses won.
I see.
So like if you ate some of it and he said, "Did you eat some of it?" then like yeah, but a lot of people would like pretend to put something in their hat and then it would look like something was in their hat, and then he'd say, "Is some in your hat?" and they'd be like, "Nope."
Oh, got
And
him.
then that's a point for them.
So, on that note, here's my question to do with this smuggling event. What is one thing worth smuggling across the border to you? Or like there's two approaches, like hypothetical or like something that you think you could actually do, if that makes any sense. So,
You want to take it first, Greg?
Yeah. Looking at like buying camera equipment and stuff, I'm learning that like especially with a lot of the American sites,
B&H.
B&H specifically, the duties are just crazy. Like if I wanted to buy something that's, I don't know, $400, you're paying $100 in tax and duties.
Yep.
So I think that would be something that would be worth it for me. It was just go in and do a big camera gear haul and smuggle it all back because it's so easily hideable.
So this reminds me of when Peter and I and our good friend Jared went to Providence, Rhode Island for a John Mayer concert 2 summers ago now. Wow. Or no, Yeah.
Yeah.
Not last summer, but the summer before that. And on our way back, we didn't. What's the limit?
We were there for pretty much 2 days, so it's $200.
Right. And so for each of us.
Yeah.
So we probably were over.
Oh yeah.
If we're being really honest, we were definitely over. And so we're like, okay, well, let's just wear things that we bought, because it was mostly clothes, footwear. Like those are the types of things we buy. So you take off the tags, you get rid of the tags, you make sure that the receipt is nowhere to be found, and you wear it, right? And be like, I've always had this shirt or whatever. So that was our approach to that. It didn't matter, because when we showed up at the border, lo and behold, it's Jared's aunt, I believe, was the Canadian border security officer. So of course it's like, oh, hey, Jared. And then we were on our way. But I thought that it was I remember you were not handling it well, Peter. You were like, what do we do? I don't want to get caught. Like, I don't want to be smuggling anything. But we were like, well, what can you do when you really don't want to have to pay for?
I was just so thrown off because Jared's aunt she wasn't the initial agent that was talking to us, I think.
Yeah.
I think there was somebody else who took our passports. And then I think she might have seen, like, maybe they have, like, if they scan the passport, Jared's picture came up on the screen, and she, like, came back and looked, and she came out and started talking. And I was like, and she was talking through, were you sitting in the back, or was Jared sitting shotgun?
I think I was in the back, yeah.
Yeah, and she just starts talking to him, and I'm just like, do you know this woman? Like, what is going on?
Well, and it's kind of like, there's not very often that you see another officer come into one of those booths. Right?
Yeah.
So that's probably where your head was going. It's like, what's going on? Why is there a second one here?
Yeah.
And lo and behold, it was just Jared's aunt catching up. It was quite the story. But yeah, if you're trying to get over a border and you don't want to have to pay for anything,
that's your pro tips.
The pro tips.
Hack.
Like your hack of the day. Peter, what would be something that you would smuggle?
Well, I just noticed earlier that these questions every episode just seem to be about, like, how shady we can be without, like, or without, like, with it still being socially acceptable. With that being said, chocolate. I'm a big sweets guy. I got a big sweet tooth. Chocolate to me is I could just live on chocolate.
But that's not smuggling. Like, that stuff, as long as you have it prepackaged, you can get that across the border.
I think it's like the same thing as clothes. If it costs a lot, it's the same thing as, like, paying duties. Although I guess you're right. If there's,
I'm talking like prohibited items,
things or prohibited things.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like,
because I couldn't think of anything. On that note, like, when I went to Florida this past almost a year ago now, which is crazy. Like, that Corona's been around that long, but I bought chocolate covered peanuts at a carnival type. It's actually the Strawberry Festival. It's really cool in Florida. If you ever have a chance to go to it, it was crazy cool. Anyways, I got chocolate covered peanuts for Jilly there, and I wasn't
across,
wasn't sure, but was like, it's worth a try. And I was truthful at when the plane landed and we were doing our declarations. I clicked, like, that I had food.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not, like, trying to smuggle it. Like, I'm just trying to get it. I would like to have it if I can have it. And if I can't, then you take it away. And it wasn't that expensive.
Yeah.
But my mom was like, no, just don't say anything. Just don't say, we'll get in trouble. And I was like, no, literally what's going to happen is I'm going to declare it. I'm going to walk up. The officer's going to kind of take me to the side or whatever. And he's going to be like, so you declare that you had food. What is it? And I said, it's prepackaged chocolate covered peanuts. And he said, oh, and it's in your carry-on? I said, no, it's in my my luggage, in my check luggage. And he's like, okay, have a good day. Thank you.
Too easy.
Right?
This is like the story about your dad. You know what I'm talking about.
The story of when
he goes to Cameroon.
When he went to Cameroon and they all ended up
Souvenir machetes.
souvenir machetes, and everyone else in the group named them weapons. And my dad, being the smart man he is, did not lie. He called it a garden tool, which
garden tool, yeah.
in Cameroon it is. Like
He declared
that's
the
what they
machete
use
as
it for.
agricultural tool. Incredible.
And so he was walking. He wasn't like necessarily. They were all adults, so he wasn't necessarily in charge of them all, but kind of like was at the same time.
Yeah.
So he's going through customs, coming back into Canada, and he's like, la la la, we're almost home. Let's go. And he isn't looking behind him, and then he looks behind him, and every single one of his team members is gone. Lo and behold, they all marked that they were bringing a weapon back into Canada from Cameroon.
Yeah, that's not suspicious.
So I mean, I think they all got to keep them. I believe, because it's not a controlled weapon in Canada. So I believe they all got to keep them. But that was definitely something that's a funny story. Just remember, if they decide to check your luggage, and if you have a machete for some reason and they're like, you checked a garden tool for that, be like, yes, that is what it is used for. Anyways,
I can't tell you how many times that I've tried to fly with a machete, and that garden tool checkbox is
that brings up
saved me.
another story about the time that you were headed out west to go work at a camp, and you tried to bring a knife on a plane.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is Swiss
You
Army knife.
you had your Swiss Army pocket knife in your was it in your like your backpack or whatever? Was that
It was, well, I got confused with like the
rules?
lengths of the blades that you're allowed to take and whether it's checked or carry on, because
Yeah.
I was up late that previous night packing, trying to do all the research and stuff, and I put it in my carry-on when I think it may have been fine in my check luggage.
Yeah.
But I didn't bother measuring the blades because I was like, oh, there's like a maximum, but these are probably fine.
Would
so I just threw them in
Greg, what did
That
you
was-
think you needed it in your carry-on for?
there. I don't know. I was going away for a whole summer. I just figured, you know what? These are handy.
No.
to have.
It's handy, but why did you not just put it in your check to be safe?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I just don't know.
that was pretty funny because we were all we Peter and I think you were there too, Pete,
Yeah.
when they were heading out. It was early in one morning.
Like 4 a.m. or something.
It was like 4 a.m. and we had all gone to see you and Caleb out, and and we were like, because we can clearly see what's going on at customs, like
Yeah.
a small airport.
it's small airport. So and we just thought it was hilarious when
Yeah.
because you came
And
out with it, didn't you?
the customs agent went
Well,
and passed it back to your dad. That's
yeah,
what I
I was
thought
able
was
to call my
hilarious. They didn't
dad.
confiscate it. They just passed it to your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a funny one.
Yeah.
Listen, there are some good stories you can get at when talking about border and border security, and
Yeah.
I mean that stuff's all so important. Like the customs agencies and stuff are important for so many different reasons. But
Why don't you tell the listeners, Nate, what you used to aspire to be for a career?
I used to watch Border Security, Canada's Front Lines, and probably from the thing about me is in high school, I went through like every 6 months, I would change what profession I was gonna take after school, or like what career I was gonna go into. So at one point, I was gonna be a police officer, and then another point, I was gonna be a DJ, and then
Yeah, the
Yeah.
DJ.
I remember that.
I don't, and you know what? Honestly, at this point, can't stand electronic like DJ music. I don't know why I ever did. And then one of the big ones that lasted probably
not move.
probably one of the ones that lasted the longest was my phase of wanting to be a border security officer. And honestly, to this day, like if I wasn't doing what I was doing now, and I think I'm going to really love it in the future, my only other option would be that. Honestly, I think it is such a
DJ, not move.
I think it's such a cool job. I like watching
you just have
it.
so many different stories from every single day.
Well, that exactly. Like you could
Do
When
they
you-
also get
when you
dibs on the
open those when you open those bags, you just never know what they're gonna come across.
Do you also get dibs on the confiscated items? What happens to those? Do they get sold off?
They get destroyed. Most-
Destroyed. Wow.
well, if it's like drugs,
Right,
prohibited agricultural, like if you bring in beef from your favorite beef place in Florida, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? They'll like burn it, like they disintegrate it.
Yeah. It goes in a big incinerator, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I was very much hooked on becoming a border security officer.
But what is it?
They have like student positions that you can apply for. So
There you go.
anyways.
This summer.
Cool.
Okay.
So, speaking of
Greg's turn.
air travel, we are taking real hours to Australia for this segment
Ooh,
of
nice
Australia, mate.
WWS.
Nice segue.
And I mean, I'm just gonna share my screen real quick because I think this is necessary for all of you to see. Can you see this? Look at this little guy.
That
So
is
this
honestly the
that
best
is-
thing ever.
The
I
cutest thing
love
ever,
that.
and also the scariest thing ever.
All at
So
the
this-
same time.
This little koala caused a 5-car pileup on an Australian freeway. And I
That's
mean,
amazing.
I don't. You can't be mad if you were one of those 5 cars. You can't be mad because look at this little koala. He's so cute. And I mean, this isn't why the freeway happened. He was just kind of trying to cross the street, and
right.
then one of
He
the
wasn't actually driving a car
yeah
at the time of the pileup.
This is after he was rescued. I just read.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the lady took him into, I think she put him into her trunk, and he just started kind of making his way towards the front, and she was like, "All right, I'm gonna get out," and just kind of let him have the whole car to himself, and he
That's
just
so
latched onto
funny.
the steering wheel.
Look how cute he is. That's so cute.
He's just doing his thing, living life.
Just driving the car. That's hilarious. That's like when you're a kid and you just go into the car and you have no clue how it operates and you try to drive it.
Yeah.
No keys in, no anything.
So my question is, what's an inconspicuous thing? If you ever wanted to cause a massive just pile up on a highway, what inconspicuous thing would you use?
I'll go first. So this is, I wouldn't actually do this, but we all watch like shows and movies where they use technology. I don't even know what you'd call it. I don't know if it's actually a thing or if it's just in the movies. I'm sure it's a thing because we're such an advanced society that for some reason we create technology. But you ever watch like a show or a movie where they like use technology of some kind, like a gun or something, like a, I don't know, they'd have some fancy ray gun thing and they like stop a car, they stop like it shuts off the engine or something like that.
Oh, I've seen that somewhere
Do you
before.
follow? I can't even give you a specific example of a show or a movie, but I know I have watched something.
I feel like that's a
that
Fast and Furious thing.
probably. So, anyways, that's how I would want to stop create a pileup. Although I don't really want to create a pileup, but it would be fascinating if the right circumstance and only the bad guys were gonna be in the pileup. I would love to use technology to create a pileup.
Very good, Nate. Thank you for that. Only the bad guys.
Only the bad guys, only the bad people. But I also can't be the judge and jury, so
And executioner.
it's,
So
yeah.
I came up with this in my answer. I think that, Greg, you stumbled onto something. Animals are definitely the best thing to do because I think people are a lot less likely to get aggravated, to get road rage as a result of an animal crossing the road than if it's like what Nate did, like somebody intentionally shutting the road down. Cute animals are obviously better as well. Baby deer, baby animals or small fluffy animals. Any animals that bear any resemblance to an Ewok, especially, I think that just really helps. I'm going to flip this on you, Greg. My question for you is, why do you want us to cause a massive car pileup? Are you looking for a diversion of some kind? Are you causing mischief? What's the deal here, sir?
So moving on to the next segment.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
That is my answer.
Okay.
I plead the fifth.
Okay.
I think that we have a segment called Weird, Wild, and Wacky Stories where we give questions. I don't think Greg's up to anything.
No. Greg's not up to anything nefarious.
Everyone
you know what?
listening to the pod,
If
don't
anybody
worry.
was up
Greg
to
is
anything
sane.
nefarious,
He's not
Greg would
crazy.
be the perfect person to be completely unsuspecting.
That is true.
So, okay, let's move on. I decided we're going to skip this next segment here because it's less interesting. So let's move on to
Producer Greg's sports picks.
We
Okay.
will get to that. We have cut that segment out twice in the past 2 weeks, in the past 2 episodes. We promise we won't even say what it is, but we'll get to it sometime.
We just want a bit more substance with it. So the last time that we were here at Producer Greg's Sports Picks, it was 2 podcasts ago, and we were making our picks for the Super Bowl. So this is unfortunately hard for Nate to relive. His Kansas City Chiefs were absolutely dismantled by Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, who already was the greatest of all time, by the way, before the Super Bowl. He's just further solidifying his position. Anyway, Nate, you picked the Chiefs, and Greg, you picked the Bucks, so you win.
I won.
You
Wow.
Did you not know?
Did you not watch the
well-
Super Bowl, Greg?
No. And I'll be honest, I forgot which team I picked, but that's fine.
You won. You won.
I won.
And it's also funny because you picked the Bucks by default because Nate was actually in the lead, and if you had picked the Chiefs, he would have won by default because he would have had the same teams. Excuse me.
So what do I win?
Nate,
Did we ever decide? I don't think we did.
did we? We'll have to go listen back.
No.
If you win something, we'll play the clip right here, and we'll determine that in next week's podcast. If not, nothing.
Okay.
So, congratulations to producer Greg for correctly
Thank you.
picking, because that's
Thank
what
you.
he does in producer Greg's sports picks. You should never pick against producer Greg, Nate.
Exactly.
But
Come on, Nate.
a couple highlights from the Super Bowl. We're gonna take a look at this. This is the streaker dude. You may remember this man ran across the field in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, and he was wearing a pair of black shorts and like a pink, like scandalous top. And then he just sort of pulled his shorts off, and his butt was hanging out. So yeah, there's 2 interesting things about this. Number one, he was actually it was actually an ad for a certain entertainment company that I'm not going to name because they don't deserve our airtime. And number 2, as Nate pointed out to me, this guy actually made a bet on there being. There's a prop bet you can make before the Super Bowl that there would be a fan on the field. And he placed that bet knowing that he was going to be on the field. And he earned himself a $375,000 payout. But, Nate, there's a development in this story that you let me know about. Would you care to elaborate?
I read something today, and I don't know what it was on. Probably like the people that put this on their news feed is probably BuzzFeed, so or somebody at that level. I'm not sure, but I heard that he's not going to get the payout.
Yep.
It didn't go into details of why. Probably breach of. You said it was probably in the terms and conditions. I think
It's
that's
almost
stupid.
It's kind of like insider trading, if you ask me.
But yeah, I just don't, I'd have to read the specifics of the bet because I don't know how you don't get the payout if your bet was that there would be a streaker at some point in the game. All I'm saying, right? Like whether or not it was him, but I guess you're probably right. It was probably in the terms and conditions that it couldn't be him, and he just didn't read it. So that's probably
Yep.
interesting enough. But
Anyway, that's all the attention I really want to give to the streaker guy. He's got enough publicity, but I think it's pretty funny that he's not getting his cash. If you ask me, it's pretty funny. So
I had an idea on the fly. So stay
Oh,
with me
okay.
here, okay? So we're in producer Greg's sports picks. I got picks for us to pick.
Uh-oh.
Right now, we're going through the Australian Open. Greg, how much do you know about tennis?
I have played Wii Sports tennis.
Okay, so basically, it is in the fourth round. Just like the matches for the fourth round are set. So what I'm thinking is we will pick a. So that means in the fourth round there are 8. So we'll do males singles this time, just because I know male singles a little more than I know female singles.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is we'll pick a winner from each game between Greg and I, and we'll see who wins.
Let's go.
Sound good? So Peter,
I get it up here.
okay, I have it up here too, but you're much better with names.
Okay.
And I know most of these guys, but I don't know how to say their name very well. So
Okay. So in the first matchup, we have the world number 1 seed Novak Djokovic facing our Canadian boy Milos Raonic.
Milos.
Another win for Milos. You remember that from
Another
Dan
game
That's
for
fun.
Milos.
Yeah. Sad. Rip.
And this just to point out, this is cool because there are 2 Canadians still left.
Yes. So
Unfortunately,
out of the 8 players left there, 2 Canadians.
unfortunately, Denis
Shapovalov.
Shapovalov.
Yeah.
Okay, I said it.
He came
Okay.
up against the other Canadian.
He
Yeah.
came up. Felix is his first name.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue
Wow,
on.
Tennis last names. Oh my. So
Yeah,
Greg,
they're-
would you like to pick the Serbian, the world number 1, probably the heavy favorite in terms of betting in this, Novak Djokovic, or would you like to ride with the Canadian boy Milos Raonic?
I gotta go Canadian. Milos is one of the only tennis players that I've ever heard of. So
I'm writing this down just so we know.
Okay.
Um,
I'm
and Nate, who are you gonna pick?
I'm going to.
Make it
See,
quick,
I
buddy.
actu-
Come on.
Okay, sorry.
It's all good.
I'm gonna go with Milos as well because go Canada go, and I can't lose. We both lose if he loses. But I also would like to say that I was watching some of the Novak and the Fritz game, the American that he played today, and Novak was had some like muscle issues. So.
That's a classic tennis thing. That's what happens.
Yeah.
They go in for so long and they cramp up. And they're under hot sun always. And Novak
right,
has been a bit of a butt lately, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's been
He did-
complaining about the conditions and not wanting to wear masks and all that, and just.
Oh
need
yeah,
to
and
pay
he's
me
the one
more for-
that he hit the line judge, didn't he? He was the one that he smashed a ball out of frustration. He hit a ball and it hit one of the line judges in the throat last year.
I do vaguely remember that. Yeah, and he was ejected.
So yeah, he was ejected, and I mean he didn't mean to, but he still did it. So
yeah,
and he's an adult, so you can't throw. Tennis tantrums are funny though, but he shouldn't be throwing one in general. Okay, bring us on to the next one here, Pete.
So the next
should
one we
keep this
have
moving.
the Serbian number 23 in the world. I don't have his last name up. I just have his last name, Lajovic, versus the German number 6 in the world, Zverev, I think. I'm so sorry to any tennis fans out there, although I'm sure we don't have any tennis fans who listen because we don't have anybody who listens anyway. So, Greg, would you like to take number 23 overall from Serbia, Lajovic, or number 6 overall from Germany, Zverev?
At this point, we're just going with their ranking.
yeah. Peter, I'm gonna need you to recite their names both back to me in rapid succession. so I can
Lajovic or
make up-
Zverev?
Keep going.
Lajovic, Zverev, Lajovic, Zverev, Lajovic, Zverev, Lajovic, Zverev, Lajovic, Zverev, Lajovic, Zverev.
Yeah, the first one.
I just killed that.
Okay,
Who are you taking?
Just-
The first one.
Lajovic. Okay.
Lajovic.
23. He's going with the underdog. I'll go Zverev.
Okay.
if that's it.
Moving on. Let's make this quick because nobody
Yep.
wants to listen to this. We have, what flag is that? I'm honestly not sure. I believe that's Austria. D Time, number 3 overall in the world versus the, I believe that's Bulgaria, Dimitrov, number 18.
Let's go Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. So Greg's
Dimitrov.
taking the
That's a
underdog.
cool name.
Nate, who are you gonna take?
Dimitrov. Number 3 overall, the theme or whatever we want to call him.
Time. I think maybe it's time or theme. I'm not sure. Okay. And the last matchup, we have our boy, Felix. Last name, I believe he's French, so I can't even do the French accent. Brittany's going to be so disappointed in me. Augur Aliazim. Augur Aliazim.
Sure, let's go with it.
Number 20 overall in the world, so he's actually up there. And we have an unproven player who is actually unranked.
Yeah.
Karatsev from Russia.
Let's just make this quick. We're both going Canadian again, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy.
Awesome.
And this time it's in our favor because he's ranked and
That's right.
The Russian isn't. So
We will check back in next week and see how it goes. Probably this will be over by next week, or will it be the final next week?
not sure. Not gonna lie.
We'll have to see how that sort of pans out. But you've each picked 4 players. They're sort of the same. But we'll see how that kind of pans out. Let's move on now to what we had been calling Tech Talk for the past 2 weeks, I believe, or week or whatever. But we realized that when we were in Real Hour Season 1, this is just, come on, we're so bad hosting podcasts. We're really trash, honestly. This self-deprecating humor is coming to another level today. We had a podcast segment called STEMology, which is related to science and technology, engineering, and math. And ology. So, Nate, you put something in the doc here that you'd like to share with us. Why don't you take the floor? Take it away.
Yeah. So I just saw this not that long ago. UMB, they like to highlight research projects that are within UMB's walls and whatnot. So I thought it'd be cool to highlight this one. It was interesting to me. So before I get into it, I wanted to highlight, you're not going to see this yet, but at some point we're going to try to, this week on our Skype call, this whole thing that we do is so elaborate. We won't even get into the details about how we create a podcast that ends up on YouTube.
Remotely, too. Oof.
Yeah. So basically, we're on a Skype call, and right now we all see each other, and we've all got different backgrounds. And so I was saying to Peter before the podcast, I think Greg was actually out of the room. So right now, for example, Greg has a very lovely photo of the boys.
There will be a screenshot of this on the podcast.
Yeah.
Greg, smile. I'm taking a screenshot.
The boys and myself, who wasn't able to make it to this camping trip, I am actually photoshopped in, thanks to Greg. I was very upset that I wasn't able to be in the photo, so I actually quite am happy with the Photoshop job.
It's because you had a job. You were working.
I was a working man.
Contributing to society.
Peter has a great photo too.
Yes.
Our great friend over at the Arkells, Max, at a concert. Do you know where that is?
That's Halifax.
That's in Halifax?
Yep.
That's pretty sick. So, and myself, I have decided that each week I'm going to put, specifically I'm interested in marine biology and all things ocean, so it's going to be from the ocean, but I'm going to put up a picture of an endangered species in the ocean. So this week, and the topic of conversation for this STEMology is North Atlantic right whale. So basically this project that I'm going to highlight today in STEMology is, like I said, it has to do with the North Atlantic right whale. And basically the federal government has invested $5.3 million into smart whales, a research initiative. So that uses satellite technology to protect as I mentioned, the endangered North Atlantic right whales. And I thought this was really cool. There's a bunch of organizations involved in it. I won't get into it too much, but basically the PhD student from UMB who's doing this, who has like $1.2 million within this project, which is a lot of money for a project in this capacity. Basically what they're doing is they're using satellites and some drone stuff they're able to, basically the satellite imaging is very high quality, and they're able to, what they want to do is end up the satellite can detect one of these whales and then relay that information to both the scientists, and then the scientists will relay it to those who are working in the field of the fisheries and the large ships. Because as we know, a lot of the times that whales end up dead or very injured is when they have collisions with boats, like large
So
boats, right?
it's about like preventing collisions.
Exactly.
Ah.
And it's really cool. So they're doing like some computer programming technology stuff way out of my field of knowledge. I just think it's really cool that they want to use these satellites, and they have some like infrared stuff going on too, to understand like where the whale is at. And I think it's really cool, and it's a nice step because we want to use these waters, the ocean, to travel and to get things from point A to point B, but we are killing things in the process, right? We're damaging the environment. Peter's got the music. There we go. So it's really important that we protect everything in the ocean, right? So I just thought it was really cool.
Thank you, Nate. Also,
That's my
I didn't know
highlight.
why this is so loud?
I
So sorry.
that is my highlight of a project, of a important environmental project. It's important to talk about these things. I think and we just had a very important day. It was an International Day of Women and Girls in Science, and that's another. I'm passionate about that one because I think it's really important that everyone has equal opportunity. So, because one of the greatest marine biologists of all time is Dr. Sylvia Earle, and she's like my influence. So, yeah. Shout out to all the women and girls in science. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep breaking down boundaries and
keep discovering things.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that what you got to say, buddy?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, we'll be back with more STEMology in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
Hit us up if you have anything you'd like to share or any endangered species you'd like to be featured on Nate's background from Skype, which we will be sharing on YouTube coming up. So probably next week, hopefully, we'll be aiming for that.
If you have an endangered, specifically marine, that's kind of my area of interest. If you have one, please send it to me, and I'd love to put it as my backdrop.
But if you have any other, in reality, we don't have anybody else reach out, so you can just send it, and it will be the only submission, and Nate will have to use you because he has no Marines to use. So,
yeah,
okay,
exactly.
I would like to talk a little bit about COVID, which I hate, but there's been some cool things that have happened this week. They're very positive developments. The first one kind of ties into STEMology. The title it's from this article from the New York Times. New York's vaccine websites weren't working. He built a new one for $50. So this guy's name is Huge Ma. He's a 31-year-old software engineer for Airbnb, and he lives in New York. But he found that the vaccine appointment system and app and website and all that stuff is trash in New York. And there's dozens of websites to check. They each have their own sign-up protocol. It's really not streamlined at all. It's really hard for people to access. So in less than 2 weeks, he launched what he calls TurboVax. This is straight from the article, a free website that compiles availability from 3 main city and state New York vaccine systems and sends the information in real time to Twitter. And it cost him less than $50 to build. So chances are that's just server hosting and domain name. And it just offers a super easy way to spot appointments. And it's just much more streamlined than the city and state's officials. So I wanted to just give a huge shout out to Mr. Ma. We appreciate what you're doing, sir, because sometimes there's a lot of red tape with the government and there's a lot of things that they have to bypass that they can't. So good on you for putting that out there. The second story, this is amazing. Sister Andre is a 117-year-old French nun. She lives in a nursing home, and there was a COVID outbreak in her nursing home, but she beat COVID. She is the oldest known living person in Europe, and it was her birthday this past Thursday. So happy birthday to
Happy
Sister
birthday.
Andre.
Happy birthday.
That is amazing.
She celebrated
Way
her
to
birthday
go.
on Thursday with a feast and a glass of champagne. So,
Nice.
and I guess she's just as alert as ever. She is, quote, calm, very radiant, and she is looking quite forward to celebrating her 117th birthday.
Now,
According to the
there's a
spokesperson.
picture. Is there a picture?
There is a picture. Let me screen share it. This is just this
we
is
will have
amazing. Not
To
with
put
the
this picture.
not with
Oh,
the glass
yes.
of champagne, but this is Sister Andre, Europe's oldest known person. So congratulations to her for beating COVID. That's awesome, and we just love these sort of COVID success stories. People who beat COVID. I know there's a lot of
Yes.
sadness, but if we can find the good moments, then hopefully it'll pull us all through it.
Yes, for sure.
That being said, let's take it to what I think will be the last segment of this week's podcast, the last official segment of this week's podcast, because we all ramble on, particularly myself. This segment is called Internet Rabbit Hole Research. So, you know that we've all gone down an internet rabbit hole, whether it's YouTube or Wikipedia, and from wild conspiracy theories about the Pope, music videos and concerts, viral recipes, Pinterest home design binges. Nobody who has an internet connection and even a slight sense of curiosity has not gone down at least one internet rabbit hole, whether on purpose or unintentionally. I know I've definitely gone down some on purpose. The thing about all those who fall into the time thief that is the rabbit hole, everybody shares in common, is that time seems to fade away in this dimension, and even the laws of reality and physics are bent. You can ignore that last sentence. That's the only thing that's not true about that. But producer Greg, I heard that you have a rabbit hole that you fell down that you maybe would like to share a little bit of details with us about.
I do. But before I do share about it, everyone, I want you to send in your internet rabbit holes that you've gone down, because I think this is an untapped well that we can, get some water from.
Are
Yeah.
you reading about QAnon? Are you reading about the Freemasons? Are you reading about Kurt Cobain's suicide? Like, tell us.
Let us know.
Or something way lighter. That's completely welcome, actually. Hit us up.
And also send us your scam and spam. Please.
Just send us anything, please. We're desperate.
Fun fact, if you send us stuff, we have content.
It will be featured if you send us something. We
Yeah.
can say that at this point. If you send us something,
We're-
it will be featured.
We're that desperate. It doesn't matter what it is. Literally anything.
Take it away,
Okay,
Greg.
so the rabbit hole that I went down, and this rabbit hole goes pretty deep. It's all about color science. And, a lot of people think they have a good understanding of color and how it works. But
They
there's
don't.
it's literally the tiniest tip of a massive iceberg. I can't even begin to describe how complex color can be, whether you're doing it for like digital stuff on a screen, like video or photos or graphic design, and even to like printers and paint and other mediums like that. It's just the amount of complexity that is in color just blows my mind.
Give me one
and
quick fact that's like super, quite interesting.
So if let's say I put up a certain shade of green on this video that we're producing for the
Okay.
podcast, if I look at that color of green on my monitor,
Yeah.
as opposed to someone else looking at that shade of green on their monitor, it's a completely different shade of green. I might tell the editing software that it's the same shade of green, but if my monitor is a different brightness than yours, then it's going to be totally different. And there's no standard, and there's no way to anticipate how people will, and like this comes up a lot in color correction for films. There's no way to predict if someone's going to be watching your film on a phone or on a projector in a home theater, or, you know, just on a grandma's old like 30-inch screen or whatever. You can't predict, and there's no standard for it. And so a big job for colorists in Hollywood movies is just getting the image to a place that they are confident that it will look good, whether it's played at back on a phone or on a big screen or on just a crappy screen.
So are they like testing it on all kinds of different screens as they're editing? Are they going through and watching it on like a MacBook, on a iPad, on a Android phone, on like all kinds of different things?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think if they have time, they'll go through and test. But that you can get like reference monitors that are like, they're literally scientific instruments because they're like so color accurate, and
How
they
expensive
cost
are
like
those?
hundreds of thousands of dollars, I'm pretty sure,
For a monitor?
for a computer screen, basically.
Dude,
yeah.
come on. I could think of many things I'd spend $100,000 on before I would spend it on a computer monitor.
Yeah, like a house.
And yeah, and also like how many like actually really really nice computer monitors could you buy for $100,000?
Yeah,
I don't know,
like
probably 100.
100. Yeah. So that's my rabbit hole. If you have anything that you want to add and teach me, let me know.
Let
or if you
producer
have
Greg know.
questions,
Reach
let
out
me know.
to @RealHoursPod.
I'd love
I don't know
to
how many
talk.
times I've said @RealHoursPod on this podcast. It probably breaks the record of how many times I've said it on an individual show. Nate, do you have anything to add before we close down the show?
Nah. Another week, another podcast. 5 in a row.
We're hitting the we're really grinding this out. We're
Yep.
back. We're in business. We're on a schedule. Expect
We're a
a new
well-oiled
new
machine.
Real Hours pretty much every Tuesday. We were a little late this week, but expect it. I think Tuesday's fair to say, eh?
For the most part.
Sure.
I don't
We
know why I
might
didn't
get
it
it if we streamline the process. We might be able to get it to you Mondays. We might have some days if we're busy. It'll be Wednesdays, but you just watch out in your podcast feed on average every Tuesday. Watch out, Real Hours Podcast.
And remember, if you watch it on YouTube now, still download it on your app. Makes me feel better about myself.
Or 4 of your apps. So that's it for this week of Real Hours. Thanks for joining us, listeners.
Thank you for tuning in.
Producer Greg, take it home.
Coast to coast.
Thank you for tuning in.
I expected
Come back
you to
next
sing the
time.
lyrics.
Oh, sorry.
Nate, I listened back to the first episode of this, and I remember the draft that Adam gave us. It was, come waste your time, come stand beside, come. And if you go back and listen to episode 1 of Real Hours, if you haven't listened to it, there is a hidden version of the theme song. Anyway, have a good
Oh,
week.
yeah, there is.
We love you, listeners. Peace out.
Peace out.
Bye.